Ever wonder what really sets successful people apart? We always hear about talent, hard work, but is it really that simple?
Well, that's a great question. And, I think that's what's so fascinating about Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers.
Yeah, the excerpts you shared were pretty thought-provoking. It seems like he really challenges our assumptions about success.
Absolutely. He digs into these unexpected factors, these hidden advantages that often have nothing to do with raw talent.
Like that story about Roseto, Pennsylvania.
Oh, the Rosato mystery.
Right, this little Italian-American town back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
They had these crazy low rates of heart disease, way lower than their neighbors. You'd think it was diet or genes or something.
You would, but Gladwell, he dug deeper. He found that the real secret ingredient was the community itself.
Really?
Yeah. The Rosens had this incredibly close-knit culture, very supportive, multi-generational households, constant social interaction, a real sense of belonging.
So it was like a built-in buffer against stress.
Exactly. And it seems like that strong community actually improved their health.
So it's not just about what you do, it's about the people you surround yourself with.
The environment, right?
It plays a huge role.
Okay, so we've got community, but then Gladwell takes us from heart health to the hockey rink.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
He noticed this pattern with the birth dates of all these elite Canadian hockey players.
He found that a huge percentage of those top players were born in the first few months of the year, January, February, March.
No way.
And it wasn't just Canada either. Similar patterns popped up in European soccer.
Hold on. So you're saying it's better to be born in January if you want to be a pro athlete?
Not exactly. It's
Right.
not about some, zodiac thing.
Okay, good.
Gladwell explains it's actually about the structure of youth sports leagues. See, those kids born early in the year, they're bigger, more physically developed at young ages, gives them a head start in competition.
Makes sense. They get more coaching attention, play on the better teams, more practice. It creates this snowball effect of opportunity.
So the early advantage just keeps building on itself.
Precisely. Gladwell calls it the Matthew effect, the idea that advantage builds upon advantage.
Wow. And he uses this to show how even systems that are, designed to identify talent can end up being biased.
Towards those who got an early break.
Right. It makes you think how much of what we consider talent is really just, a product of being in the right place at the right time.
It's a powerful question, and one that has implications far beyond the world of sports.
Absolutely. Think about education or career paths. Those small initial advantages can have a huge impact down the line.
For sure. This is crucial for anyone striving for success. Understanding these invisible advantages, it can help us, recognize our own privileges and then advocate for a more equitable playing field for everyone.
Okay, so we've got community, opportunity, but what about this myth of the genius? That idea that a sky-high IQ guarantees success.
Ah, yes. Gladwell tackles this head-on with the story of Christopher Langan. This guy had an IQ of 195.
195, that's incredible.
It is. But Langan's story is fascinating because despite his exceptional intelligence, he hasn't achieved, the kind of conventional success you might expect.
So what happened?
Well, it led Gladwell to explore this link between IQ and achievement. And what he found is that while a certain level of intelligence is obviously important, past a certain point, other factors become way more crucial.
So there's like a threshold of intelligence.
Exactly. Think about the colleges that produced recent Nobel Prize winners. You see Ivy League schools in there, but then you also see lesser-known institutions like Holy Cross, Antioch College, even Gettysburg College.
So it's not just about going to the best school.
Right. Gladwell's point is that there's this threshold of intelligence for success. Above that threshold, things like practical intelligence, social skills, the ability to navigate complex situations, those become the real game changers.
It's not just about being smart. It's about knowing how to use that intelligence.
Precisely. He illustrates this by comparing Langan to Robert Oppenheimer, the physicist who, led the Manhattan Project. Oppenheimer was brilliant, no doubt, but he also possessed this incredible charisma and persuasive ability, skills that were, nurtured by his privileged upbringing.
So it's like a combination of nature and nurture, raw intelligence, plus the skills to apply it effectively in the real world.
That's a great way to put it. And it leads us to another fascinating thread in Gladwell's work, the influence of cultural legacy.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He draws heavily on the work of sociologist Annette Leroux, who explores how different parenting styles can impact a child's path to success.
Okay, so how does that play out?
Well, Leroux contrasts two main approaches: concerted cultivation, which is common in middle and upper class families, and then natural growth, which is more typical in working class families.
Concerted cultivation versus natural growth.
Yeah.
Got it. So what's the difference?
Well, with concerted cultivation, parents are actively fostering a child's skills, encouraging reasoning, negotiation, questioning authority. They're really involved.
Ah, so it's like they're cultivating those skills on purpose.
Yes. Whereas natural growth, that emphasizes respect for authority, and it allows children more freedom to, navigate their own experiences.
So less structured, more hands-off.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, he uses some powerful examples from Leroux's research. Just imagine two kids at the doctor's office, okay?
Okay, I'm picturing it.
One kid, let's call him Alex, he's been raised with this concerted cultivation style. He confidently questions the doctor about his diagnosis. He wants to understand.
Makes sense.
But then you have another kid, Katie, let's say, who was raised with this natural growth approach. She passively accepts whatever the doctor says, doesn't really question it.
Oh, wow. So even in simple situations like that, you can see the difference in how they interact with the world.
Right. And these different approaches, they shape how comfortable kids are with asserting themselves, how they approach problem solving.
Makes sense.
Huh?
And how does this tie back to Langan, the guy with the 195 IQ?
Good point. Gladwell suggests that had Langan been raised in a more, concerted cultivation environment, he might have developed those crucial social skills that Oppenheimer had. The ones that allow you to navigate the world outside of just your own mind.
So it's not just about being brilliant, it's about having the tools to apply that brilliance, to
Yeah.
connect with people, to advocate for yourself.
Exactly. And it circles back to that idea of opportunity, right? Different upbringings create different opportunities.
This is fascinating stuff. It really makes you think about how much our upbringing shapes our paths to success, often in ways we don't even realize.
For sure. And we're just getting started. Gladwell goes on to explore this even further with the story of a high-powered New York lawyer.
Oh yeah, Joe Flom, right?
You got it. Joe Flom from the legendary firm Skadden Arps. His story is a perfect example of how so-called disadvantages can sometimes pave the way for incredible success.
Wait, what? Disadvantages leading to success? I'm not sure I follow.
It's kind of counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But Flom's background on the surface seemed filled with disadvantages. He was Jewish, the son of immigrants, grew up during the Depression. But Gladwell flips the script. He shows how these so-called disadvantages actually set the stage for Flom's incredible rise.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. How did that happen?
Well, think about it. Flom's generation, they faced a ton of discrimination in the legal field. It pushed them toward specializing in areas that were considered, less desirable at the time.
What kind of legal work?
Things like proxy fights. Back then, nobody wanted to touch those.
But then,
As fate would have it, these specializations became incredibly valuable when the world of corporate takeovers exploded.
so Flom was in the right place at the right time with the right skills, all because of what seemed like disadvantages earlier in his career.
Precisely. And it gets even better. On top of that, Flom benefited from being part of a smaller generation. They faced less competition for education, for jobs. Gladwell calls this demographic luck.
Wow, demographic luck. Hadn't thought about it that way.
It really highlights how success is often a product of historical context, the opportunities that are available at a specific time period. It's powerful stuff.
It makes you realize we don't exist in a vacuum. These external forces play a huge role in shaping our paths.
For sure. And recognizing those forces can help us make more informed decisions about our own careers and lives.
So far, we've seen how community, opportunity, cultural legacy, and even so-called disadvantages can play a surprising role in success. It's already making me rethink my assumptions about achievement.
Well, hold on tight, because we're just scratching the surface. Gladwell has so many more fascinating insights to share. All right, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about something you might not expect in a book about success. Ready for this? Rice paddies.
Rice paddies. Okay, you've definitely got my attention. What do rice paddies have to do with, well, anything we've been talking about?
Well, this part really blew me away. Gladwell uses rice paddies as a way to illustrate the connection between work ethic and cultural legacies.
You're saying we can learn about success from farming.
You'd be surprised. He paints this really vivid picture of what rice cultivation is actually like, explains how incredibly demanding it is, not just physically, but mentally too.
I mean, I guess I never really thought about it. But yeah, it's not like you just throw some seeds in the ground and wait for them to grow.
Exactly. It requires meticulous planning, constant attention to detail, and a deep understanding of complex systems.
Huh. That's a pretty stark contrast to Western agricultural traditions, where you have those predictable cycles of work and rest, plant in the spring, harvest in the fall, take it easy in the winter.
Exactly. And Gladwell argues that these different approaches, they've shaped cultural attitudes towards work. In many Asian cultures, that demanding nature of rice cultivation, it fostered this deep-rooted belief in the power of hard work, diligence, persistence.
Interesting. So all that backbreaking work in the rice paddies, it kind of seeped into the culture.
That's the idea. And he even makes a connection to education. He suggests that this whole Western concept of summer vacation, this long break from school, that it might actually be putting some students at a disadvantage.
You mean compared to students from cultures that emphasize, year-round effort?
Exactly. It's a really thought-provoking point, isn't it?
It is. Makes you question our assumptions about what it really takes to succeed.
Right. And he brings up KKP schools as a modern example. These schools, they primarily serve underprivileged students. They have these extended school hours, classes on Saturdays, tons of homework.
Sounds pretty intense.
It is. But their students are thriving, often surpassing their wealthier peers, especially in math.
So it's like they're applying the lessons of the rice paddy, but to inner-city classroom.
Exactly. KPP schools show that, talent might be evenly distributed, but opportunity definitely isn't. And by providing a structured, demanding environment, they're helping students from disadvantaged backgrounds not just catch up, but often, like you said, surpass their peers.
That's pretty incredible. But Gladwell doesn't stop there, does he? I mean, the excerpt you shared had a whole section about plane crashes.
Oh, you're talking about the Korean Air chapter? Yeah, this one was a real page-turner.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Gladwell dives into this tragic story of Korean Air. They had a disturbingly high rate of accidents for a while. And it wasn't about, pilot incompetence or anything like that. It was something much deeper, more systemic.
And this is where this concept of power distance comes into play. It's a fascinating idea developed by the social psychologist Geert Hofstede, and it basically measures how different cultures view hierarchy and authority.
Okay, so in high power distance cultures, there's this strong emphasis on respecting authority, even if it means not speaking up when something's wrong.
You got it. And guess what? South Korea has a very high power distance score.
Huh. So how does that relate to plane crashes?
Gladwell did this meticulous analysis of cockpit transcripts from these Korean air crashes, and he discovered a heartbreaking pattern. The first officers, they would often hint at problems. They'd use what's called mitigated speech, but they would never directly challenge the captain, even in life or death situations.
That's terrifying. You're saying cultural norms were overriding basic safety instincts.
It's chilling. He contrasts this with an American pilot facing a similar fuel emergency, who directly and assertively communicates the issue to air traffic control, just lays it out, no hesitation.
Wow, it's like a real life example of how cultural background can affect communication and decision making, especially when the pressure's on.
It is. But the good news is that Korean Air, they recognize this problem, and they brought in this Western firm to overhaul their training programs, focused on fostering more direct communication and breaking down those hierarchical barriers in the cockpit.
So they basically acknowledged the cultural influence and worked to change it. Did it work?
It did. Their safety record dramatically improved. It's a powerful example of how understanding these cultural factors, addressing them head on, it can lead to a real change, positive change.
I like that. Taking these insights and actually doing something with them, not just, talking about them.
Exactly. And it highlights this importance of self-awareness, especially in high-stakes situations. We need to be mindful of how our own cultural background, our ingrained assumptions can influence our actions.
So recognizing those blind spots, those subtle biases we might not even realize we have.
Exactly. But Gladwell doesn't just leave us with these, cautionary tales. He also delves into his own family history to kind of trace the roots of his own success.
Oh, wow. That's got to be pretty personal.
It is, and it's a beautiful reminder that even our seemingly personal achievements, they're often intertwined with these these broader historical forces and the legacies of those who came before us.
That's powerful. So where does he take us? Where did his success story begin?
He takes us to Jamaica, explores his family's unique story. His grandmother, Daisy Nation, she was a descendant of this mixed race lineage, Irish and African. And back then, Jamaica's social structure, it placed this colored class in this unique position.
So they were kind of in between.
Exactly. They faced limitations, but they also had access to education. They
Yeah.
played this crucial role in shaping Jamaica's, cultural and professional landscape. They became doctors, lawyers, educators, and that paved the way for Gladwell's mother to attend university, and eventually for his own success.
So it's like this ripple effect. These historical circumstances create opportunities or they deny them. And that can echo through generations.
Absolutely. It shapes individual destinies in these profound ways.
It definitely challenges that whole self-made individual narrative.
Yeah.
Makes you acknowledge this complex web of factors that contribute to anyone's achievements.
It's a call for a more nuanced understanding of success,
Yeah.
one that acknowledges both individual effort and these often invisible forces that shape our lives. And with that, we've covered a lot of ground, from rice paddies to airplane cockpits. But Gladwell, he still has more to teach us about how to create a world where success is more attainable for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about community, opportunity, these cultural legacies, all these unexpected advantages. But what can we do with all this? How do we actually apply it to make success more achievable, not just for a lucky few, but for everyone?
That's the real key, right? That's where Gladwell's message really, really resonates. He argues that recognizing these external factors, it's not about diminishing individual effort, not at all. It's about understanding the playing field and then working to level it.
He keeps coming back to education.
Yeah.
With that example of the KPP schools, and it all kind of clicks into place. Those long school hours, that intense focus on hard work. It's like they're taking those lessons from the rice paddy and applying them to inner city classrooms.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, look, talent is evenly distributed, but opportunity is not. And by creating this structured, demanding environment, they're helping students from disadvantaged backgrounds not just catch up, but actually oftentimes surpass their wealthier peers.
It's really inspiring to see those results.
Mhm.
It makes you wonder, what if we took this kind of thinking and applied it to, I don't know, other areas where inequality is a problem.
Mhm.
What if we redesigned our systems to give everyone a shot at being an outlier?
That's the challenge Gladwell leaves us with. He pushes us to look beyond these individual success stories and consider the bigger picture. How can we create a world where more people have the chance to reach their full potential, to achieve those extraordinary things?
So if we take everything Gladwell has shown us, the community, the opportunities, the cultural legacies, that practical intelligence, what does it all mean for us, for everyone listening right now?
It means recognizing that, success is rarely a solo act. It's this combination of our own efforts, for sure, but also these often invisible forces that are shaping our lives. And understanding those forces, it allows us to make, smarter choices, to advocate for change, and maybe even create some of those key IPP-like moments for ourselves or for
Right.
others.
It also means challenging that whole myth of the self-made individual.
Yeah.
We all stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. We benefit from advantages that we might not even realize are there. But that knowledge, it shouldn't discourage us. It should empower us.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Knowing how much context matters, knowing how much those small advantages can compound over time, that should inspire us to create more of those advantages for everyone, to build communities that uplift, that support, to open doors of opportunity, to foster that practical intelligence alongside the academic smarts.
This deep dive into outliers has been, well, eye-opening, to say the least. It's really shifted my perspective on success. It's not just about personal achievement. It's about building a world where everyone has the chance to thrive, to
Yeah.
to become an outlier in the best sense of the word.
That's the power of Gladwell's work, right? He makes us question our assumptions, think critically about these things, and ultimately to take responsibility for creating a more equitable future, a future where success is less about, luck and more about opportunity for all.